Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're just joining me for the first time, hi. My name is Angelfish, pronouns they, them, and today we are finally making a video that I have been, thinking about doing for a while, but after Jack and Sally's horrible release day, we're just gonna go ahead. This video is to consolidate all of my thoughts on the Monster High Alumni program as a whole, and just get it out there into the world. Now, for the unaware, Monster High Alumni is what we refer to the G1 style dolls released from 2020 to currently as. For instance, you wouldn't call a doll from 2012 an alumni doll because it was released in Monster High G1's original run. It's not an alumni because technically back then they didn't graduate. The age group that we are did not graduate from the brand at that time, so it would not be considered an alumni product because it's not targeted at the adults that grew up with the franchise because they were kids at the time that thing was made. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it, but you get the point. It's G1 style dolls targeted at the older fans of Monster High who more than likely grew up with the brand. Okay? Get it? Got it? Good. So, with Collector dolls, we can't argue that they are probably the most sought-after aspect of the alumni product line. These dolls, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not, have the numbers to back it up that they are probably the most popular product that Mattel has put out under the Monster High name ever. They sell out in minutes, regardless of whether or not it's actual people buying them or robots. They are tie-ins with popular franchises that are either horror or horror adjacent, and the horror community is already pretty big. It has a lot of fans in it. Yes, there's some overlap with the Monster High community, obviously, but also there's just horror fans in general that maybe aren't doll collectors, but do like the doll that is released for the collab that also go after these. Bottom line, we have the numbers. We can see how in demand collectors are as a thing. And I don't think they're going to go away anytime soon, no matter how much we beg or plead or cry. That's a SpongeBob reference. But they're just going to be around for a bit. And my thing is, I don't know if I want to keep collecting the Collector dolls. I only have these two sets, by the way. I don't know if I want to keep showing interest in the Collector dolls or attempt to get any of them after this year, especially after these two. We are only seemingly getting more and more Collector dolls after this. Around this time last year, when it was just these two in my collection, I was like, oh, I love Collectors. I would love to see them do more Universal monsters. But now I'm absolutely dreading the idea of them doing the creature from the Black Lagoon and potentially the Wolfman. That one hasn't been announced yet. This one, the creature from the Black Lagoon, that's a pretty reasonably founded rumor. Usually when a Collector topic is rumored to be a collab, it's true. Jack and Sally were a rumor for around this time last year. People were like, we might be getting them next year for the 30th anniversary. And, well, look at them. They're here. So, obviously, that's a pretty substantial rumor. We're probably getting the creature from the Black Lagoon. As in, it's releasing. But we here, personally, me, at the channel, skip. I dread the idea of even attempting to get that doll now. I dread the idea of the Sanderson sister set that is rumored for next year. Oh, as much as I love Hocus Pocus, I have my spooky season Disney dolls. It took forever to find a price that I thought was okay for them compared to what else they are going for on the market. We're not going to bother with Mary, Winifred, and Sarah. We're not even going to bother. And it's discouraging. And I don't think the designers are at fault for that. I'm going to make that abundantly clear, because for some reason, whenever we talk about the faults of like the G1 style stuff currently, a lot of people resort to going and attacking the designers, and I don't think that's appropriate behavior, because the designers do not control the rate at which dolls release, and they do not control the rate at which dolls sell out. So just that little disclaimer there. And it sucks because like the designers, obviously they love seeing fan reaction to their dolls. I mean, the designer of these sets reposted my photos on Instagram to her story because I was excited about them and she's excited about them. She's proud of them and she deserves to be proud of them. Um, and it just sucks that the way that Collectors are being like handled by Mattel Creations and the lack of action towards bots is just sort of ruining and steadily causing interest in Collectors from the core doll audience to lose interest. And obviously, again, as I stated earlier, Collectors will be fine. They will be around for a while. Like, we're not going to see them disappear next year because Doll Lover 29, who's been a fan of Monster High for 13 years, wasn't able to get a set and now has a vendetta against the collection as a whole. They're still going to be around because resellers now know to target them. Resellers have known to target Monster High G1 style stuff since Pennywise, so we are never going to see a true solution to that problem. And that's a tough pill for me to swallow. That's a tough thing for me to say on camera and admit, but I know in my heart of hearts we are never going to get rid of the bot problem or the scalper problem for the Collector dolls as a whole. We can mitigate it probably, but it's never going to go away entirely because in 2020, when Pennywise and the Grady Twins released, they learned quickly. And that's just how it is. But like, I am more interested in saving up and going back on the dolls that I've missed now than I am ever interested in any new product. Do I still want to see what they come out with for this Collector line? Yes, I would love to see what they do from a design perspective because I'm a design student, so I like seeing stuff like this. But it's like, I just, as a consumer, I think I'm pretty safe to say that I will be abandoning this Collector aspect of Monster High because it's just, I've been going for like half an hour I have half an hour's worth of footage of just me complaining about Collectors, and I'm gonna try to edit it down as best as I can, but like, you get the picture. As a whole, it is just discouraging to collect these ones. So, my thoughts on Collectors as a line is visually interesting, but hellish in every other aspect. This next section is probably the shortest section I can ever think of having in this video, and that is just the creep reductions. I want to talk about them for a second because they were available for like a week, and then we never saw them again. They never restocked. And the Creep Pros are massively important to Monster High as a brand because that's your like lifeline to the G1 original dolls. That's your lifeline to the core audience member that grew up with your brand. And the thing with the Creep reductions is they are still in demand, and Mattel is not meeting the demand. They haven't restocked them. People are like, oh, when are we getting the next batch of them? And people keep saying that we're getting Ghoulia and Deuce and Cleo and Spectra and Abby. I will believe it when I see it. Because it has been a full year since we got these, almost 2 years at this point. Because by the time we reach spring of next year, if we don't have another Creepro set, I'm going to assume that aspect of Monster High Alumni is dead in the water. Because we were supposed to get, what was it, Schools Out repros last year? That never fucking happened. There were rumors saying that we were going to get a restock of these several times throughout this year. That never happened. People keep saying, oh, the Creepros are coming back, the Creepros are coming, the Creepros are coming. No, they are not. I will believe it when I see it, but until then, the energy that I am putting out into the universe is I'm not gonna see these ever again. I'm never going to see the Claudine or Draculaura from the original set because they're ridiculously expensive on the secondhand market now. Literally, Jack and Sally are cheaper than what some of the Creepros go for. And the Creepros have been out for longer than Jack and Sally. So I don't know what's up with that. But, I just... It's a nice thought. As a fan, I appreciate this. However, they were Walmart exclusives in the US, which is a bad idea. Never give Walmart exclusives ever. They are not responsible enough for it. And 2, it pisses me off how badly they fucked over international fans for these too. And that would be its own video on its own if I could coherently put all of my frustrations about that into one script. But I can't. Bottom line, I don't know how to feel about the Creep reductions because it's a nice gesture, but it is ultimately meaningless when they are largely unavailable. And then on the flip side, you have the aspect of Monster High Alumni that I think is doing incredibly well for itself, that I actually really like, that feels like it's the direction they should be going, but they just aren't quite confident enough in it yet. And that's like the Holiday line and like the Amazon exclusives, like Stitched in Style Frankie and Holiday Draculaura, Claudine, Skelita. I don't have Skelita or Claudine, but I would love to get them at some point. And the thing about these dolls is they are so readily available. This is what Mattel should be doing for the majority of the alumni stuff, but they just aren't. And I don't know why. I think they're worried about them being shelf warmers, but like, if Frankie or Vampire Heart Draculaura is any indication, these dolls do just fine being online exclusives as well. Like, you don't have to go to a retailer like Target to be all like, hey, do you want to put these on the shelf for me? Because they're still being well received regardless. Like, I feel like this is the only aspect of the alumni program and the alumni lineup of dolls that I can 100% speak on positively, because they are the least stressful to collect. Visually, they feel the most like the Monster High that I grew up with. Like, there's a sense of familiarity there, and I'm not just talking about it being like, oh, well, this is the Frankie that I grew up with, where they have staples and neck bolts. There's also just, they feel fresh. Like, this is what Monster High would be doing if it came out, like, if G1 came out in 2020. I like this. I need to see more of this. We need to do more of this, but I don't feel like Mattel is showing that it's confident in them, if that makes sense. And that's really sad to me as a fan, because they are by far the best thing that Mattel has done. The best decision that Mattel has done for the G1 universe, for Monster High Generation 1 in its current iteration. Like, as much as I love Haunt Couture, as much as I love the idea of Creep Productions, Holiday and like the Amazon exclusives, they are the best thing that we've gotten. Are proof that you can do dialed up for adult collector at a decent price with decent availability. Like, that's the key thing, is the availability. Like, this lady right here, she is still in stock, mind you. She came out last year, and there is still dead stock of her. And while Mattel probably doesn't like that there's dead stock of her, it is nice for fans that were worried about missing out to still be able to go back and get her for retail price. That's, and it feels strange to say it, a luxury these days when it comes to Monster High. Like, that's just so weird to me. Like, again, maybe it's just because Mattel doesn't like that they don't sell out instantly. But I think that this is the direction that clearly should be taken. with G1 stuff. Like this, it's very clearly out in front of us. This is fun. This is like, this is nice. This is nice. I love this. More of this, please. Less of, you are now in the virtual queue. Estimated wait time, 8 minutes. Whoops, the doll's sold out. Fuck you. Like, less of that, please. More of this. It makes much more sense from a consumer standpoint and maybe even from a business standpoint. Although, I don't know what the sales numbers look like for these two, so I can't potentially say for a certainty about the actual number side of things. But, like, realistically, if you want people to be able to get things and not feel like they have to rush by, this is better, because it maintains the positive idea of your brand in the consumer's brain. And that's the key thing. Like, people are actively stressed out by other Mattel Creations drops, but not these. Like, people talk about these in a fun way. They're happy to see these. They're happy to buy these. They're not like, oh shit, I gotta come up with $75,000 by Friday for the chance of getting a doll. Instead, they're just like, oh look at this new thing. It's cool. It's new. I'm gonna get it. It makes so much more sense to me. Why are we not focusing more on this? I want to see more of this next year and less of whatever the fuck was with the entourage of the Off-White dolls, Collector. Like, it's just, dial it back, Mattel. Dial it back. This is all we need as core fans. I think we can abandon Haute Couture Midnight Runway. I think we can abandon the amount of Collectors that we've been getting. You can go back to doing 2 sets a year, and just, if you want to do more collector alumni dolls like this is better. This is so much better. This is so much better. So much nicer. Please, just, I want to linger on this. I'm sounding like a broken record. You get the point. On a similar note, the Fang Club, well, except not. Literally just Gulux Gulia. That is all. She was the best aspect of the Fang Club. We got the exclusive doll from the subscription. She was easy to get. Everybody that wanted her seemed to be able to get her. There seemed to be minimal issues with bots, despite resellers getting in. Obviously, there was still, like, it was just a much more pleasant experience, much like Stitched in Style, much like Holiday. It was just a lot more pleasant. We need more drops like this. If Mattel Creations is going to keep doing alumni products, I need this to be the direction we're going in. It's already there. The material is already there. The methods of acquiring are already there. It just needs to be put into practice. And what I'm not seeing is Mattel using that to their advantage. Instead, they're still going by the business model of tease a doll at the start of the week, maybe even 2 days before release, and then drop them on short notice at a random time that's no longer consistent. It used to be at 9 a.m., but we don't do that anymore. Now it's anybody's guess what time we're releasing this doll at, and so on and so forth. Like, it's just, I love this. And this was the only thing that made Fang Club worthwhile, because I don't think Mattel actually knows how to manage an official fan club. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. They couldn't even commit to the designer live stream that they promised us. Like, we were supposed to get multiple live streams we paid for, but they haven't quite figured out how they want to do that or when they want to do that. Like, it's already almost the end of the year. The subscription is going to be up in, like, February, I think, for me. Maybe March. Like, a year from when she was March, so it's going to be up in March. We've gotten very little of the actual perks of the Fang Club, because the chat room, the discussion board, that's not a perk. You just need a Mattel Creations account to access that shit. Like, there's There's very little with the fan club that actually turned out the way that was promised. Except for her. They fully delivered on her. And I think if we're going to keep doing the fan club, only ever advertise it as doing what you did with her and ditch the other stuff and just be like, yeah, it's a one-time membership to get an exclusive doll. That's it. That's all you need to say. You don't need to do empty promises that you can't keep. But by and large, again, this was a positive thing from this year. Other aspects of Monster High alumni cannot say that for themselves. Anyway, we're going to wrap this video up. If you couldn't gather, my overall thoughts on Monster High alumni is just confused. Because there are aspects about what the alumni portion of the brand is doing that I love. Again, Holiday, Gulux, Stitched in Style, the Amazon exclusives being readily available. Those aspects are great, and I think that's the direction that Mattel should be focusing on, but for some reason they aren't. And it makes me look at G1 alumni stuff through a new lens. Obviously, they can't retroactively ruin a childhood that already happened, so I'm not going to say, oh, they ruined G1, ran it into the ground, because G1 happened, and I had a great time with it because I was a kid. But the alumni stuff is a very weird amalgam of strange business decisions, great designs, fun dolls, but horrible, horrible listing practices and horrible, horrible, horrible methods of advertising. And I don't know what you want, Mattel. When I look at Monster High G1 stuff, I don't know what you want me to see anymore. Do you want me to be excited for G1 stuff? Because if you do, then you should clearly focus on the stuff that was mostly well received by fans through the actual retail experience combined with the design of the product. Not just focusing on whether or not something is desirable within a 2 minutes notice, and actually focusing on whether or not it leaves a lasting impression of positivity on your brand, or if it makes people think that maybe they should drop your brand because you don't know how to handle it anymore. Does that make sense? Anyway, this has been a very long video in the making. I have a lot to edit down, and at the end of it all, I'm probably still going to have it be somewhere around a half hour in its runtime, but I will see you all in the next video. Let me know your comments? Thoughts in the comments below. I'm leaving that in. I'm too lazy to edit that out. Anyway, I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.